Hi, JP here, and welcome to my bench. In this episode, we'll be talking about replacement animation, and show some of the results that you can get by combining modern tools with this age-old technique. Replacement animation lies in its simplicity. Animators create a series of interchangeable parts or figures, each representing a specific pose or movement. By seamlessly replacing these parts from one frame to the next, animators can achieve fluid and lifelike motion with remarkable efficiency. In the pre-digital days of special effects, replacement animation has also been used to create various solutions for showing character transformations or movement to makeup appliances that would otherwise be impossible to achieve. Ron Howard's movie Willow utilised some of the first digital morph effects seen in a motion picture. Replacement animation models and puppets were used to help create the in-between points for the morph software to interpolate new frames to smoothen the motion between transition points. It marked a landmark in terms of where digital effects would grow from, but also marked the decline of using traditional frame-by-frame replacement animation, at least for special effects photography. In The Last Crusade, the technique hit its peak with Donovan's destruction sequence, where multiple passes of 3 distinct age decomposition stages were filmed with a motion control puppet. Then those key stages were revealed through a smooth series of morph blends for the final transition.
He chose poorly.
Fast forward to modern day, where some stop-motion studios are still using replacement animation, but with a clever twist. Leica Studios, who were the first to pioneer the use of colour 3D printed mouth shapes, have been using replacement mouth and face sections of their stop-motion puppets for years. And they are able to achieve very fluid and dynamic motion to their characters that is the result of animating the mouth motion digitally, just leaving a very thin seam line on the replacement part to be removed in post. So I thought it would be fun to try a little test of trying replacement animation with a fully 3D printed figure. Now, because each frame of animation will require its own physical print, I was looking for motion that could be looped. That way it could be recycled to make a longer amount of frames. My initial thought was to find a walk or run cycle piece of animation, which I quickly found on Real Illusion's website using ActorCore and AccuRig. This is a wonderful piece of software that has an online database of pre-made 3D figures and props that can very quickly be added to motion capture data for you to help populate a 3D scene in CG. I used it most recently on our Recreating Aliens series, where I used 3D models of our characters and used AccuRig to very quickly rig and apply animation. For this test, I simply downloaded a stock figure and found a suitable run animation that could be applied to it. From there, I selected a section of the animation that would work as a loop, meaning that I could minimize the amount of 3D print models that I'd have to use. In the end, I found that 20 frames could work, so I stepped through each frame and exported an STL file of each frame pose of the animation. I modelled a very simple support rig to the figure, which included a base that would key into a separate block, so as to ensure registration of position when replacing each model between frames. This is critical when doing replacement animation. Otherwise, the movement can look very shaky because the alignment is not fixed and jumping around between frames. As you can see, even when minimized to 20 frames and a small scale figure, it can quickly add up to a lot of assets to keep track of, so clear numbering of the frame numbers on the model is crucial to keep track of them. I used DragonFrame software to create the animation on my DSLR, but you could use any camera you want, even your phone, to take a series of stills, just as long as you can rig your camera securely between frames and have manual control of its camera settings. I do, however, highly recommend using DragonFrame, as it's somewhat the industry standard for stop-motion animation. A link to the trial version of the software can be found in the description text. So, by taking a single frame of each 3D printed pose, I eventually captured my 20 frame loop. From there, I can repeat the playback to give the impression that our character is on a long run. In Adobe After Effects, it is possible to add motion blur as a post effect. Here you can see the original footage that has the classic stop motion look where each frame is sharp. And now with motion blur applied. I use the inbuilt plugin found in After Effects called Pixel Motion Blur, which can be found under the time effect options. As you can see, it can really help blend the frames together to create a nice smooth motion, an effect that looks more like go motion, which we will explain further in future episodes. Having a loop of character animation also can be made to be more dynamic by introducing further motion to the scene. For example, here I've programmed a very simple track move to our looping character and made him run along a path. With motion blur added, you can start to see how it could be possible to use replacement animation for certain shots in a stop motion project. Now this has been a fun little experiment that hopefully you can see the potential in, and it's definitely something I plan to revisit to show some more creative applications that can be done with this type of technique. It is of course an aesthetic choice, and getting animation results using CG is obviously way more efficient. But for those like me who love the look of traditional animation, it's great to know that a blend of digital tools and traditional techniques can deliver some interesting results. So that's it. Let me know if you like this video and if it's the type of thing that interests you. If you have any requests for effects or animation techniques you'd like to be shown or explained, let me know in the comments section. If you really like these videos, be sure to check out our Patreon page, where these videos will have a 7-day early access to members. If Patreon isn't your thing, but you'd still like to show your appreciation, there is a no obligation tip jar where you can give what you can so as to keep me supplied in cherry coke. Thank you so much to our existing Patreon members, and thank you everyone else for watching.